بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome to episode 1 of the series Diary of an Islamic School Principal. In this episode I want to talk about the need for Islamic schools, the need for Islamic education in our communities. If we take a minute to think about the goal, what's the main goal that we have when it comes to raising our children? We'll realize that as Muslims, as believers, we want to raise our children as righteous Muslims. We want to give them a strong sense of their Islamic identity, a strong sense of their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We want to give them a strong foundation in how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the values and the morals that we have as Muslims, as believers, that are based in the teachings of our deen, that are based in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We also have, ambitions for them. We want to give them good academics. We want to give them a good environment to come to school at. We want to give them a more individualized learning experience. We want them to have an environment where they feel like they fit in and they're comfortable and they're safe, and through which we're able to achieve all these things. So those are I would say are the main goals. That's kind of the overarching theme or the goals of what, as individuals, as families, as parents, and collectively as a community, that we're trying to do regarding our next generation, our younger generation, our children, and the youth in our communities. And so when we look at that goal, we see the need for Islamic schools in order to achieve those goals. Otherwise, parents just trying to do it on their own individually is very difficult. It's I don't want to say impossible. It's very extremely difficult and very unlikely for them to succeed, because there's a lot of factors involved, and there's a lot of opposing influence from outside the house. There's at school, what they learn at school, the content, the influence from other kids that they meet at school, online, what they consume in terms of what they read, what they see, all kinds of stuff, just the overall environment. So, and if you want to have more say as a community over the environment, and over what your kids learn, over what you teach them, over over just a lot of these factors, if you want to have more control, more of a say over them, that's done through private education, having your own private school. And so having Islamic schools allows us to set a lot of these factors, or at least try to shape them in a very big way. We don't have complete control over everything, but we are able to shape and influence a lot of these factors: what the kids learn, the environment that we have at school, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. You get to set a lot of this, so you get to shape their journey and their experience to learn and to grow and develop as young kids, as they develop into young adults, and as they form their identity, as they form their beliefs, their habits, their values, their friendships, the circles of friends that they have and networks, all of that, those relationships that they build, all of these things. As a private school, we have a lot more say in setting those, which influence the process of their education, which again, ultimately, the goal takes us back to what the goals that we aim to achieve through that. And again, it's still not easy, because there's other factors that cause influence over kids, and there's social media, there's outside influence, there's a lot of other factors. But at least controlling many of the main ones, between the parents and the community collectively and the school, it becomes a lot easier to control and have a say and shape and design the process through which you achieve those intended goals. And so there's no doubt about it. There's a strong need. If those are our goals as a community and individuals, and as families, is to achieve those goals for our children, for our youth, for our next generation of Muslims that are growing up, then there's no doubt about it. There's a need for Islamic schools, for Islamic education. And some parents realize that early on, and they enroll their kids from the get-go. Some parents realize it later on, after something happens, and it's a wake-up call for them, and they bring them, to enroll them at an Islamic school, after they've gotten kind of a wake-up call. And some, unfortunately, realize it when it's too late, after they've lost their kids, after, serious, more major things have happened, or they've completely lost their kids, and they don't realize it until it's too late. And unfortunately, I've seen it all. So many examples to give, and inshallah, in some of the episodes, I'll give some of the examples of what I've seen, and what my experience has been with, all of that, inshallah. But for me, I realized the need for Islamic schools only after, even though I was a practicing Muslim, I was involved in the community, involved in the masjid, even giving khutbahs, I only realized the need for Islamic schools once I started teaching as a volunteer at an Islamic school many years back. And when I saw it from within, saw the need for investing in our youth, investing in our schools, and the need for our schools. Why do we need Islamic schools to be able to achieve those goals? That is when I truly realized the importance of Islamic education, and why we need to establish good Islamic schools as a Muslim community in the United States. And inshallah, I will share my personal story, my journey of how I got here in another episode, inshallah ta'ala. But in this episode, I just wanted to highlight the need that I think is very obvious within our communities for Islamic schools. Barakallahu feekum, jazakumullah khaira, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.